Success isn't defined by how many people admire you. It's defined by how many lives you inspire. Life isn't about impressing others. It's about leaving an impact. And yet today, many have fallen into a subtle but dangerous trap: the constant need to be seen. We live in a world where visibility is mistaken for value. People crave attention. They chase praise. They want the spotlight, the applause, the recognition. But here's the truth. Real success is quiet. Real purpose doesn't need a stage. The Bible puts it plainly. Let another praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. You don't need to announce your greatness. If you're truly great, people will see it. If your work has real value, it will speak for itself. We've confused popularity with purpose. People assume the louder they are, the more successful they must be. But success isn't about how many eyes are on you. It's about how many lives are better because of you. Applause fades. Impact endures. When you chase applause, you become a performer. You start living for approval. But leaders, true leaders, live for purpose. They don't perform. They transform. The crowd's cheers are temporary. Their silence is inevitable. And if your self-worth depends on being celebrated, then your foundation is fragile. Because people are fickle. One moment they love you, the next they forget you. Look at the most influential people in history. They didn't chase fame, it followed them. Why? Because they lived with purpose. And purpose leaves a mark that outlives applause. A tree doesn't make noise when it bears fruit, but its value becomes obvious. The sun doesn't announce its presence, but it lights the world. True power, true greatness is often silent. Many people waste their lives trying to be seen when they should be trying to serve. They want to be known, but they don't want to be necessary. Yet your true value isn't in how many people recognize your name. It's in how many people are changed because you existed. The most powerful leaders aren't the loudest in the room. They're the ones who leave the deepest impact. If you live for attention, you'll always be performing, always pretending, always trying to impress. But when you shift your focus from impressing others to fulfilling your purpose, everything changes. Applause can deceive you. It can make you believe you're successful when you're merely entertaining. If you want to measure your impact, don't count your followers. Ask yourself, whose life is better because of me? What problem am I solving? What legacy am I leaving? That's the real test of success. Purpose is greater than performance. If you live for performance, you'll constantly crave validation. But if you live for purpose, your work will speak, even in silence. Consider a great building under construction. It's covered, hidden, while the foundation is being laid. But when the structure is ready, it stands tall. Many step into the spotlight too early. They crave attention before they've built the strength to handle it. And when the applause fades, they fall apart. Don't chase fame. Chase meaning. Don't seek to be seen. Seek to be significant. This world doesn't need more people who want to be admired. It needs more people willing to make a difference. The greatest leaders aren't remembered for the noise they made, but for the people they lifted. The tragedy is not in being unknown. It's in wasting your life trying to be remembered instead of making a real difference. Live in a way that even if people forget your name, they'll never forget the impact you made. Leave a legacy, not a performance. True greatness doesn't announce itself. It proves itself. It's quiet but undeniable. The sun doesn't boast about its brightness. The ocean doesn't shout about its depth. Their presence alone demands respect. There's a difference between noise and impact. Many talk loudly but contribute little. True value doesn't beg for attention. A diamond doesn't need to explain its worth. A lion doesn't have to remind you it's king. The most valuable people in this world often work in silence, building, growing, developing. They're not always in the spotlight, but their impact can't be ignored. A farmer doesn't dig up the seed to prove it's growing. He trusts the process. In time, the harvest speaks for itself. If you spend your life trying to be seen, you'll miss the chance to become someone worth seeing. Because real change isn't loud. It's consistent. It's patient. It's disciplined. A man who brags about his success is never as powerful as the man whose results speak for him. When you walk in purpose, you don't need to shout. Your results will do the talking. Great leaders, impactful lives, they aren't built on noise. They're built on quiet, focused work. Over time, that kind of work becomes undeniable. A doctor doesn't need to declare his skill. A healed patient does that for him. A builder doesn't need to boast. The structure stands as proof. Too many are busy showing off what they've done instead of becoming who they were meant to be. But attention doesn't equal impact. A firework is loud, bright, and gone in seconds. A star? It shines for generations, quietly, constantly, without demanding notice. So choose substance over show. Choose purpose over popularity. Choose to build something that lasts longer than applause. Because when your work has depth, it won't need a microphone. Let your results speak. Live for impact, not attention. If the foundation is weak, no amount of fame can hold you up. It's easy to shine for a moment when all eyes are on you. But what happens when the spotlight shifts? If you're only standing because you're being seen, you'll fall the moment you're not. History doesn't remember those who were merely popular. It remembers those who solved real problems, those who made a lasting difference. Greatness isn't found in visibility. It's found in significance. A doctor doesn't chase applause. He heals. A true leader doesn't seek validation. He builds, decides, and leads, whether or not anyone's watching. If you really want to be great, shift your focus. Stop chasing attention. Start becoming someone the world actually needs. There's a dangerous confusion in today's culture. Noise is mistaken for influence, but volume doesn't equal value. A drum makes a lot of noise, but it's empty inside. Don't live loudly with no depth. Instead, aim to leave something behind that will outlast you. True influence isn't about how many people know your name. It's about how many lives you touch. The people who leave the deepest marks on this world often did so without a spotlight. They committed to something greater than themselves. They worked quietly, steadily, intentionally. And the legacy they left speaks louder than any applause ever could. When you live for attention, you become a slave to public opinion. You'll always need to post more, say more, show more, just to stay relevant. But when you live for impact, you are free. You no longer have to prove your worth, because your work does that for you. A tree doesn't announce its fruit. It simply grows, and people come. A real leader doesn't beg for followers. His vision draws them in. When you're walking in purpose, you won't need to chase recognition. Recognition will find you. This is the difference between living to be noticed and living to be necessary. One is temporary. The other is timeless. So invest your energy wisely. Build something meaningful. Refine your character. Strengthen your skills. Focus not on getting attention, but on becoming a person of real value. Because at the end of your life, the number of people who clapped won't matter. What will matter is how many people you lifted. Your worth isn't what you have. It's who you are. We live in a time where possessions often define people. Titles, cars, clothes, bank accounts, they've become symbols of success. But none of those things tell the truth about you. A person can have everything and still feel empty. They can be rich in wealth but poor in purpose. Loud in presence but quiet in substance. If your identity is wrapped up in what you own, then the moment you lose it, you'll lose yourself too. But if your identity is rooted in something deeper, something unshakable, then no matter what changes around you, your value remains. The greatest loss in life isn't losing things. It's never discovering who you really are beyond them. A house isn't a home. A job isn't a calling. A title isn't an identity. And applause isn't impact. Let your life be more than a performance. Let it be a legacy. Quiet, intentional, powerful. Live for impact, not for attention. Be valuable, not just visible. When everything external is stripped away, who are you? Your job is not your identity. Your wealth is not your worth. Your possessions may bring comfort, but they do not define value. If your money disappeared, your title faded, and no one recognized your face, would you still know your worth? That question draws the line between those who live with purpose and those who live for praise. Life has a way of revealing where your identity is rooted. Some lose everything and never recover, not because they lack the strength to rebuild, but because they had built their sense of self on things that don't last. But those who understand that value comes from within stand firm, even when the world around them crumbles. Their foundation isn't based on image. It's built on substance. Look at history. True greatness was never measured by material things. The people who changed the world didn't start with wealth or applause. They started with vision. They weren't chasing comfort. They were chasing purpose. And because of that, even long after they were gone, their names lived on. They left behind something greater than riches. They left a legacy. The world teaches you to chase more. More money, more titles, more recognition. But real fulfillment comes when you chase wisdom, growth, and purpose. When you become someone of real value, what you need will come. Not because you're loud, but because you're solid. Money may come and go. Titles may shift. Applause fades. But character remains. Root your identity in what can't be taken from you. Your true worth isn't in your car, your clothes, or your resume. It's in your integrity, your discipline, your impact on others. When you understand that, fear begins to fade. The need to impress disappears. You stop performing and start living with quiet confidence, knowing that who you are is already enough. Let your presence speak louder than your words. In a world that constantly demands attention, many feel pressure to prove themselves, to announce their achievements, to be seen and acknowledged. But true value doesn't need to shout. A lion doesn't declare it's the king. Its presence alone is enough. A tree doesn't announce its fruit. It simply grows, and people come. The ocean doesn't explain its depth. Its silence is what makes it powerful. The same is true for people. When you carry real value, the world notices, even if you say nothing. There is a difference between being valuable and seeking validation. Those who constantly talk about their success often reveal their insecurity. If your greatness has to be announced, it isn't fully developed yet. When it's real, others will speak for you. And here's the truth. The more you rely on applause, the more you become dependent on it. You feel worthy when people cheer, and worthless when they don't. That's a fragile way to live. True confidence isn't about being seen. It's about knowing who you are, even in silence, even when no one is watching. Have you noticed? The most powerful people are often the quietest. They don't need to tell you they matter. They show you, not with noise, but with presence, with purpose, with results. So stop chasing attention. Start building something that lasts. Be valuable, not just visible. Let your life speak. Let your value speak. Those who are truly focused on their craft don't waste time trying to be seen. They don't chase applause. They understand that results speak louder than words. Their work, their integrity, and their character do the talking. And because of that, people notice. Not because attention was demanded, but because it was earned. Think of a candle in a dark room. It doesn't announce itself. It simply shines, and people are drawn to it. That's how real value works: quiet, steady, undeniable. When you commit to growth, when you build your character, when you master your gifts, you don't have to speak loudly. Your excellence speaks for you. But many try to rush the process. They want recognition before they've developed substance. They want to be known before they've built anything real. And here's the truth: recognition without preparation is a setup for collapse. If you're not ready for the weight of success, it will crush you. So stop chasing the spotlight. Start becoming someone who is necessary, someone who contributes real value. When that happens, you won't need to introduce yourself. Your work will. There's a wisdom in letting your presence speak. As it's been said, let another praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. When others recognize your worth, it's because they've seen something real. But when you constantly announce your own greatness, people begin to question it. Because what's truly valuable doesn't need to be forced. It draws attention naturally. So today, I challenge you. Stop seeking approval. Start seeking excellence. Stop trying to be noticed. Start becoming undeniable. Produce something that matters. Let your value rise quietly, steadily, and unmistakably. Because when you focus on becoming someone the world needs, recognition will come. Not because you begged for it, but because you became impossible to ignore. Walk in humility. There's a rare strength in humility. In a world obsessed with status and recognition, humility stands apart. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. True humility doesn't lower you. It positions you for honor. Look at the most respected figures in history. They weren't arrogant. They didn't parade their greatness. They carried themselves with quiet confidence, letting their legacy speak. They didn't need to remind others of who they were. Their impact made it clear. When you walk humbly, you create space for others to lift you. But when you elevate yourself, you set yourself up to fall. Pride repels. Humility attracts. People might admire your success, but if pride leads the way, they'll keep their distance. But with humility, respect flows naturally, not demanded, earned. Humility is the foundation of lasting influence. Many believe they must constantly remind others of their importance to be great. But real greatness doesn't boast. It serves. Humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself less. It means putting purpose before pride, service before status, and contribution before image. It's knowing that leadership isn't about how high you can rise, but how deeply you're willing to serve. A tree heavy with fruit bows low. The more it bears, the lower it leans. But the trees that stand tall and proud often offer nothing. Life works the same way. The more wisdom, success, and impact you carry, the more humility you should walk with. Because true greatness doesn't make you boastful, it makes you grateful. Some fear that if they don't promote themselves, they'll be overlooked. But humility is the quiet force that lifts you when the time is right. When you focus on growth, service, and contribution, your value will be seen, even without effort. Compare two leaders. One demands authority, the other earns it through humility. One is followed out of fear, the other out of trust. One is forgotten when their power fades. The other is remembered long after they're gone. Why? Because pride isolates. But humility builds connection. It builds legacy. The most powerful people are often the most gracious. They don't elevate themselves above others. They treat everyone with dignity because they know true greatness isn't about status. It's about service. There's wisdom in walking humbly. When you're humble, you don't resist growth. You don't fear correction. And you don't need the spotlight to feel valuable. Because deep down, you know, your time will come. And when it does, you will rise. Not because you forced your way forward, but because your character carried you there. So walk with purpose. Lead with humility. Let your actions whisper what pride would have shouted. And remember, when you walk in true greatness, you don't have to say a word. Honor will follow you. Live for impact, not applause. You don't need to demand respect. When you carry real value, respect will find you. The way up is often found by going deeper. Not into the spotlight, but into purpose. True success isn't measured by noise, it's measured by impact. It's easy to confuse admiration with achievement. Many believe they are successful because they are seen, followed, or praised. But applause is fleeting. The cheers of today can fade into silence tomorrow. What lasts is impact. The quiet difference you made in someone's life. The wisdom you shared. The love you gave. The problems you helped solve. The world often teaches us to chase recognition, to believe we matter only if others see us. But look closely at history. The ones who truly shaped the world weren't always in the spotlight. They weren't performers. They were builders. They were visionaries who worked in silence, moved with purpose, and lived for legacy, not attention. A performer craves applause. A leader seeks transformation. One feeds off approval. The other lives for results. If your confidence depends on claps, you're standing on unstable ground. Because when the noise stops, what remains? The goal is not to impress people. It's to influence them, not to gather fans, but to create change. Applause is easy. Say the right thing, entertain the crowd, be who they want, and they'll cheer. But impact is harder. It demands depth. It asks for commitment. It requires purpose. So ask yourself, when your time here is done, what will be remembered? Your follower count? Your applause? Or the lives you touched in a way that mattered? Popularity is not purpose. Being known by many doesn't mean you are useful to any. One soul deeply changed is more powerful than a million faces who merely watched you. Look at a seed. When it's planted, no one sees it. It doesn't seek validation. It simply roots itself quietly in the dark. And when the time is right, it breaks through the surface and gives fruit to others, not for applause, but because that's what it was made to do. If you want to be great, stop chasing claps. Start becoming necessary. Start contributing something that matters. Because when you are truly needed, people will come looking for you. The world makes room for those who carry solutions. The ones we remember, those who left a mark, weren't loud. They were clear. They didn't waste their energy trying to impress. They focused on impact, service, and legacy. And that is why their influence endured. So I offer you this challenge. Don't let applause define you. Don't let the opinions of others shape your direction. Dedicate your life to something greater than yourself, something that lasts, something that matters. Because in the end, it's not about how many people saw you. It's about how many lives you changed. Live for impact, not for applause. True greatness is quiet. It's not shown off. It's not shouted. It's simply lived. It's not about what you have, but who you are. It doesn't demand attention. It earns respect. It doesn't seek validation. It creates transformation. When you live to impress, you will always be controlled by approval. But when you live with purpose, you rise above it. So walk in humility. Grow in silence. Let your actions whisper what your words never need to say. Because what matters most isn't how loudly the world praises you, but how deeply you've touched it. Shift your focus from being seen to being significant, from being praised to being purposeful, from chasing status to walking in service. And when you do, success will follow, not as a reward for promotion, but as the natural result of a life well lived. Live with wisdom, walk in humility, and leave a legacy that speaks long after you're gone.